Want help to grow your business? Download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.
Welcome to Know Your Numbers. I'm Kevin Bees, and this is a show where we're going to teach you how to make more profitability, more cash flow in less time and with less stress. In order to do that, I want to start with talking to you about your wealth mindset, because in order to have success in your business, we've got to get to the root of your thoughts around wealth, because your thoughts impact how you feel, which impacts the action that you take and then the results that come back to you. And in order to do that, we're going to talk through the psychology and how you can hone in your wealth mindset to get the results that you deserve in business. To start, I'd like to talk to you about Peter Drucker. He's a famous management consultant, and he tells us what gets measured gets improved. This is something that's known the world over by leading business experts and business strategists. And I'd like you to just imagine that you were on the show of Shark Tank or Dragon's Den, and you were walking into the room, and you're faced with 5 leading experts. And within the next few minutes, they're going to determine if your business is going to be the next best thing and grow and you're going to achieve your dreams, or they're going to figure out actually if this isn't worthwhile you putting in your time and your energy. And as you start to present to them, it's going very well. You're getting across the business, your message, you're enthusiastic, it's going super well. And then one of them asks you a question, and they say to you, tell us about the numbers. And your palms feel sweaty and your heart gets faster, and you feel really nervous about the whole situation because you don't feel as though you have a grip on your numbers. And within the next 2 minutes, you're out of the room walking away without the deal. Now, sadly, this is something that I see day in, day out. Business owners are missing a lot of opportunity in their business. Many businesses actually are no longer in existence because they didn't know the numbers. They weren't measuring the right things. And I was recently with one of those original founders on the show, The Shark Tank in the USA. There's a guy called Kevin Harrington. We had the privilege of presenting together in Europe. And I share this slide with you because this guy is worth $500 million. He's done some things very right in terms of business and growing his business. And during his presentation, he put up on his presentation, know your numbers. He really drummed home that it's so critical that we master this skill set. Now, what are the things that hold most business owners back with regards to their numbers? 2 key things. There seems to be a belief that, number one, it's the responsibility of the accountant or the bookkeeper to do the numbers. Now, whilst it's true, it's the responsibility of the accountant to produce and create the numbers, it's actually your job as the business owner to understand those numbers and turn them into what action you're going to take and what decisions you take. So really critical that you understand the numbers and not just assume that the accountant is going to take care of that for you. They don't know your business like you do. Their job is to produce the numbers. It's your job to take those numbers and take action. The second reason that most business owners don't really understand the numbers or master their numbers is because of a fear. Quite often when we grow up and we go through our schooling system, we get educated in a way where a lot of us don't feel good about numbers. We don't have great associations. So what I'd like to talk to you first about is your associations. What are the associations you have with numbers, and how can we shift those associations and change those associations so you feel more positive and you want to take action with those numbers? So to talk about associations, I first want to ask you about what are your associations with surfing? If you have a think about it right now, what do you associate with the sport of surfing? For me, when I went to take my first surf lesson, it was in Peru, in South America. The instructor didn't speak a word of English, and I didn't speak a word of Spanish. And I remember after these lessons, he taught me to paddle out. It was a really big beach. The waves were 30, 40, 50 feet high. Okay, and we're paddling out. Every time I paddle out, it takes me 30 minutes to paddle out, but every time I paddle out, I get hit by the waves and I get pushed back, hit by the waves and pushed back. And at the end of it, I get spat out onto a pebble beach. So this is an example of my experience of surfing. I don't have a great association with surfing. And as a result, I don't want to take action. I don't want to be involved in surfing. However, my good friend Christo, on the other hand, has some very positive associations. This is Christo surfing the wave. Doesn't that look cool? Wouldn't you like to do surfing in that way? I asked Christo, what are your associations with surfing? And he said, Kevin, surfing is the meaning of life. He loves it. Any chance he gets, any second, he's out there on the waves and doing it all the time. Now, you may ask, what's surfing got to do with numbers? It's about these associations. Most of us have the association with numbers, like myself. When I went out on that board and it was tiring, it was hard work, and you do all of that effort and you just get churned over in the waves and spat out onto a pebble beach. So I recognize that many of you may be feeling a little bit like this when it comes to numbers. This is how you feel inside. Or some of you think that this is a little bit too mild. Maybe you feel more like this. My promise to you is if you stick with me during these episodes, you're going to walk away from this program feeling a little bit more like this.
Abu. Abu.
That's right. So you'll be feeling truly positive about numbers, and you'll be laughing all the way to the bank because you're going to know how to increase your profitability, increase your cash flow in less time with less stress. Now, I had very much a similar experience to many business owners around this area of numbers. My experience was much like my surfing experience. I didn't necessarily understand the point of numbers. I didn't get why they were important. And I didn't really understand why I needed to know Pythagoras' theorem or any of these things. It didn't make any sense to me, and we're not going to cover that with you. But why have my associations changed? Whilst I was at business school, I took a placement year in a company called Intel Corporation. Now, you may know this company because they are on the chips inside most computers, maybe even on the device that you're watching this with now. Whilst I was at Intel Corporation, I had a moment where my mindset really shifted around numbers and why they were so important. I was in the finance department, and it was my job to produce numbers and analysis. And one day, I went along to this big meeting called by the CEO of the European and Asian region. And if you can imagine, there were 5,000 people listening into this call. We were in an auditorium with maybe 300 people. And the CEO of that area was telling the whole organization why we were going to change directions, why we were going to shift and make some different decisions. And the hairs on my neck stood up because he flicked up to a slide, which was my analysis. It was numbers that I'd created. And he was using my numbers to explain why we were going to change direction and do something different. And this is where my associations really changed, because if an intern who has no training in finance and numbers can give some simple analysis that helps change the direction of an organization, that's when I realized that numbers really make the biggest difference. If we can.
To continue enjoying this presentation, download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.